From Las Vegas, the Entertainment Files. With Nick Lewin.
That's a lot, 300 times.
You
That's
have
like
a fan club, and you have a website, and all of
Right.
that stuff. There's certainly evidence of that following.
That's
Yeah.
right. Now, when you started 13 years ago, were you the featured performer then? Were you, because you do Joan Rivers?
Yes.
That's what you're probably most famous for. Did you start in that time? Was it a Joan Rivers?
Well, originally before Las Vegas, I auditioned for the show. I wanted to be Diana Ross, believe it or not. And I auditioned. They knew I did Diana Ross, and I also did Joan Rivers. So I did Diana Ross first, and they said, it's not just quite right. Can we see the Joan? And I did Joan for them, and they loved it. So they were putting a show in Florida, which we were there for a year. We did the show. Mr. Rickless, who owned the Riviera with Pia Zadora,
right.
13 years ago, came and saw the show, loved it, and built the entire wing of the Riviera that's all mirrored now for the showroom. It's a very avant-garde room. It's got zebra carpeting and leopard, and it's different. It's just totally different. Back then, it was what Space Age would be like.
Right.
And they put us in, and they told us we're on a 6-month contract, and we've been here ever since for 13 years.
That's great. And now, Joan Rivers, now originally, as I remember, was another lawsuit at one point? What was the story in your own?
Yeah.
Well, originally we were friends. She was a very cordial entertainer. When she found out I was an impersonator of her, I went to see her in Atlantic City, and she had me come backstage. While I was back there, she couldn't be nicer. She actually introduced me to the producers of La Cage and actually got my start going. But when I came to Vegas and we were at the Riviera and she was 2 blocks down at Caesar's Palace, her husband, who has since passed, Edgar, was not too happy about the similarities in the material, and we had a $5 million lawsuit.
Really?
Which ended up settling, thank God, because I was like $80 short. And
and then you're back to being friends again.
But also the publicity, of course,
Right.
it worked out.
I ended up getting the cover of the National Enquirer, People Magazine.
Sure.
I was in Playboy. I mean, so
it really ended up
I had
helping.
my 15 minutes of fame, yeah.
That's great. You know, we have a clip that we can run if you want to check out here. This is Frank Marino in action.
And listen, those of you who are visiting out here, if you get a chance, take my advice. Go to California, check it out. I couldn't believe it. It was my first time over. Every audience we had out there, all of them alive, awake, energetic, very good groups. But then again, they have an advantage. The whole state is on drugs. California, druggy. It's the only state I've ever been in. You order a Coke, it comes on a glass.
That was a great clip. And, right before the clip, you said it was your 15 minutes of fame. That's been a long 15 minutes.
That's right.
It's still going.
See, back then, I was only 21 years old, and I did not know it was press and publicity that really kept the show going and kept your notoriety in the public's eye. So I sort of would turn down major shows. I'll never forget Larry King called me up, and the producers wanted me to do the show, and I said, I really can't come in tomorrow to fly in to do it because my parents are flying in and I need to pick them up at the airport. And when I told people, they looked at me like I was crazy. You turned down the Larry King show?
But you're doing our show.
Right, but I'm doing your show.
Well, now you have something to promote. You've written a book, which
His Majesty
Right,
Queen.
I have it with me. Yes,
Yeah.
it's called His Majesty the Queen.
And it's a great book. Now, can people order this from you? Or
Yes,
is it a
people could either
bookstore?
call my number, which I'll give you, 363-5768. Anyway, or they could get it in any bookstore in Las
Sure.
Vegas.
But if they
or
get
any
from
bookstore around the
you,
country if they're not living
you
in Las
autograph
Vegas.
it, right,
If
which
they
is
get
a
it from
lovely
me,
thing.
they get an autographed copy.
It's a
That's
great book,
right.
very candid. You go into a lot of your cosmetic surgeries, which a lot of
Right,
people think
a
would
lot
be a
of-
sensitive subject, but you talk about it.
Yeah, because to me it's no big deal. If you had plastic surgery, you've done it because you didn't like something. I didn't like my nose, I fixed my nose, So I really didn't think it was such a tragedy to talk about it. Nobody's not going to like me because I changed the shape of my nose.
Well, no. Now I was reading my little material through between $50,000 and $100,000 worth of plastic.
Because
surgery.
these doctors charge too much money.
That's but can they do anything with the throat? I know we were trying to get you to give us a little bit of Joan on this show
Right.
live, but you have a bad throat.
Right,
so.
from working 3 shows a night, my throat gets sore in the daytime.
That's right. You don't want to go to a doctor in Vegas. They don't heal you. They just lay odds against you.
Exactly,
It's
it's
a
a crap
different
game.
deal, totally.
I want to
true.
ask you something about the book didn't get into, and I was curious about, being a female impersonator. Have you ever run into some prejudices, doing that line of profession?
People ask that all the time, and I'll tell you, I probably live in an ivory tower. because in Vegas I'm looked at as a celebrity.
Right.
People usually come over and will ask for an autograph or praise a performance rather than go, oh my God, that's a man in drag. I don't know if I was in Oklahoma and I was doing the same thing, if somebody would, raise their eyebrow and go, what's the slang word for female impersonator? Drag queen, or do something derogatory. Could possibly happen. I personally have never experienced it.
Now, speaking of that, people coming up to you, I've done that as a fan, and you're very nice to your fans. Does that come in a way that you were like a fan of Joan Rivers? You know what it's like to be a fan yourself?
Yeah, and I'm a fan of many artists, but I read something that Joan said once that hit me years ago that I remember. She answers all of her own fan mail personally. I could answer from experience. She was very nice to me, had me come backstage, didn't know me from a hole in the wall back then. And I do the same. I answer all my fan mail. After every show I go out and I sign autographs, I sign books, I sign t-shirts, whatever. I have a CD out also that, I'll just promote that, that we sign. I do whatever I can to please the public, because if they're going to spend their money to come see me, I feel it's the least I can do.
And part of that is you have an incredible wardrobe, which and I was intrigued. You actually bought one of the dresses of Princess Diana. But this was before she died, right?
Right.
This was in the auction,
right.
So that was that's quite something. You must be very proud.
Because I was a big idol of the royal family. Not that it was something that was on my mind 24 hours a day, but I really enjoyed watching what they would do and the moves they would make. And I watched Diana's wedding and I watched her divorce, and unfortunately the tragedy of her death. Yes.
It was. I did the same thing. I mean, I'm a Brit.
Right.
I was up early in the morning watching the wedding. It seemed like no time, and then the funeral. So you have quite a collection of. Do you rotate them within the show, or have you got strictly costumes?
Well, what I do, I have hundreds and hundreds of gowns from over the years, you can imagine. But we have the big designers like Bob Mackie and Stephen York designing the gowns now for us.
For someone like me who doesn't know, what does a gown like that cost? What do you think the average
I
is?
have gowns that range everywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 or $6,000, or Diana's $25,000.
That's sad to say, but I'm sure an investment that quadrupled.
Yeah, right, and now it's worth a lot more, although I don't see making money on somebody's tragedy.
No, absolutely not. We've got something we always do with our guests. Tell them what it is.
That's right. We want to get your 5 favorite movies from you. If you were stranded on a deserted island and you had a VCR and TV there, assuming, what 5 movies would you bring? And a few guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasures. We want to know what those
guilty pleasures. Okay. Well, I said I liked impersonating Diana Ross, so I'd say one of my favorite all-time movies would be Mahogany, which was a movie where she
I thought you were going to say
played
Lady Sings the Blues.
Well, I liked that one, but I liked Mahogany better because it was more glamorous. It was more exciting. Although I do love Lady Sings the Blues. I love The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. I like intelligent movies usually. I hate when they throw in like vampires and stuff, because when it's not realistic, it sort of loses my interest.
Okay.
I like Color of Night with Bruce Willis.
Oh, I still haven't seen that yet.
Oh, it's a great mystery.
Is it really?
Very good mystery.
Gina Davis did The Long Kiss Goodnight. I think that one's really good. I'm trying to think. Is that 4? Another favorite movie.
We need one more. We need the guilty pleasure.
And then an old movie. I sort of like Grease.
Grease
is a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. That's one of my favorites.
That second one that went nowhere, but Michelle Pfeiffer, a very young Michelle Pfeiffer.
I thought you were going to say Two of a Kind, another Travolta, Olivia Newton-John collaboration. That went nowhere as well.
That went nowhere as well.
I never even heard of that one, so there you go.
There you go. That's right.
Well, now, so when did it start? When did you first say, I want to put on beautiful Bob Mackie gowns and entertain people in Las Vegas? How did that begin?
Well, I was originally planning on becoming a doctor. That was my goal in life, and I was working in a drugstore. I worked there for about a year and a half of my life while I was going to school, but I spent more time up at the makeup counter than I did behind the prescription counter being the junior pharmacist. So Halloween time, I took the makeup and I went out as Diana Ross, who was my favorite entertainer. And I won a contest. And they asked me if I wanted to do like a lip sync type of thing, and then go out. At the time, Michael Jackson was very big with the breaking away from the brothers and doing his own thing. And I did a few of these shows, and they were paying $150 for the hour. And I was like, this is great money for going through college and paying my bills. And then I wanted to change characters and do somebody a little bit easier. So at the time, Joan Rivers was permanent guest host on Carson. She was the big deal. She was really the only female comedian at the time besides Phyllis Diller. And I started impersonating her to her album. and then it progressed into doing the voice so I could have more freedom and talk to the audience, and it just constantly evolved.
And now you're the best in your field.
You
I want to
are.
ask you about your show. Do you have a lot of creative control over your show? Do you search out the talent that is in an evening at LaCour?
Well, we have a producer, and producer picks the acts. We have everybody from new people like Celine Dion to nostalgia like Judy Garland, and the show constantly changes. I have control over my portions. Of course, if there's a section the producer doesn't like, he'll say, can we change or alter this?
That's
but,
right.
you know, my percentage of the show, which is like 50% of the show, I have control
For
over.
13 years, it must be something very, very right. We recommend everyone to see the show. We have to take a break. Maybe you'll come back and talk over our video
Love
picks
to.
at the end. This is Frank Marino from LaCour. We're going to be back with more Entertainment Files following these messages.
Welcome back to the Entertainment Files, and as you can see on your screen, the answer was Frank Sinatra. He did portray Danny Ocean in that 1960 classic, and that's also my video pick of the week because it's my favorite Rat Pack movie. Everybody's in it. Joey Bishop, Peter Lawford, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and of course even Shirley MacLaine, the unofficial female member of the Rat Pack, makes a cameo. So if you haven't seen Ocean's 11 in a while, check it out. It's on video, Warner Home Video.
That's right. It's always worth seeing again. It's a lot of fun. And it's great just living in Vegas to see all those changes that have happened. You look at little strips where there's nothing happening,
That's
a little
right.
tiny plant, and you go, wait a minute, that's the Mirage now. But I have a guilty pleasure
Okay.
whilst we're picking Vegas movies. And I love Viva Las Vegas, classic as it is. I thought the combination of Elvis Presley and Anne Margaret was just sensational. I think both of them, that raw magnetism that was there, they had some fun songs in it, and the racing scenes. Bit of a guilty
It is
pleasure
fun.
for me. How about you, Frank? Have you got a favorite Vegas movie?
Well, you know what? Rather than the movie, I sort of have a favorite Vegas television show.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
Dan Tanner's Vegas.
Ah, yeah.
And I like
That's
to watch the reruns now on television because I remember being here 13 years. The old Vegas, like you just mentioned, you drive by and the old Silver Slipper's now a parking lot for
Sure.
the Frontier.
That's
And
right.
it brings back a lot of memories and the good old times. I really could say I liked it. I liked Vegas even better before it was more corporate because now it's so impersonal. It's so big.
It seems so
It has
bright and lit up, and
changed.
of course when you see it on TV it looks a lot darker, you know, compared to the strip now. It's very
Right.
interesting to see that.
Yeah.
That's right. And we got some other video picks. I've got one kind of in honor with what you do, and I thought it was a movie that knocked me out. The Adventures of Priscilla of the Desert. Now, you've seen that movie, haven't
Yes,
you?
I love that movie.
Wasn't that a great movie? That was a movie with heart.
Yes, it
Stephen
was.
Elliott was the director, and Terrence Stamp gave just an absolute career-reviving performance.
He was gone for a long time. We were just talking during the break. The only thing we can think that he was maybe in was as General Zod in Superman 2, but he was, of course, in his heyday, Billy Budd, Far From the Madding Crowd with Julie Christie, and then he pops back up in one of the best performances of the 90s.
That's what did you think of that movie? Did that capture something underneath the surface?
It did change something for me because I, at that point, stopped doing only Joan Rivers in my show and added a more glamorous look. I don't know, maybe you even have a still, I've sent you some, but I do other looks
yes.
besides. And because of that movie, I said, you know, I want to do some more fun stuff. I don't want to be just Joan Rivers. I want to be an all-around female impersonator where I've impersonated other people, like I do the Lisa show and host it with her, dressed as her. I want to do something fun, which
She's
is
a
my
big
own
fan of
character.
yours, isn't she? She comes to your show a lot.
Yeah, Lisa, out of all the talk shows, Lisa is, besides you.
Oh, thanks.
there you go.
Lisa is my favorite. She treats every guest with sincere kindness. She becomes your friend, and she doesn't treat you like cattle. You're in and you're out, and you're just here to do my show. She treats you as a human being.
And I bet a lot of celebrities come in and out of your show all the time. I bet you've seen quite a few
Oh,
over
we
the
get them
years.
all. Everybody who's been impersonated has actually come in and
Oh, really?
seen
Any,
the show.
any
Anyone-
favorites? That's fun.
Or
yeah.
anybody upset? That's always a good
Just
one.
Joan Rivers for suing
Just
me.
Joan for a moment there.
No,
Well,
but we're friends again, like you said. It went
Good,
complete
that's-
circle. I've done her television show, and she
Yeah.
could not have been nicer either. Yeah, we had Carol Channing come in to see our Carol Channing, which was
wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr came in and saw the show. We have a Roseanne. And, Whoopi Goldberg met our Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh,
so
that
that's
was
always,
fun.
a lot of fun, especially when it's a drop-dead look-alike,
Yeah.
and they get to see themselves. Oh, Shirley MacLaine came back.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's exciting.
That must be give us one more video pic, something, another movie about Vegas, or maybe about something else.
About Vegas Vegas Vacation.
Oh, Vegas.
Did you like
Vegas
that?
Vacation. I liked it, but I'm a little annoyed with it because they had a whole script written for Lacage, and they were going to be backstage. He was going to be passed out, and I was going to wake him up thinking he was a performer, going, "Hurry up, get on stage!" And by mistake, he was going to step on Cher's foot, and she goes, the line was, "Be careful, I'm wearing my open-toe shoes." But they cut the scene.
It could have been the funniest scene in the movie, in my opinion.
It's nice that you still give it that video pic on that one.
Nice.
That's a good one through to there. Well, and what's coming up next? You've just signed. Can I say it? It's a 3-year, $5 million contract.
Well, actually, it was a 5-year, $3 million contract. But we got 3 years left on
it. But okay, well, that'll work.
But that's good. I'll take yours better.
People can see you right there at an evening at Lacage at the Riviera. Thank you for helping with our video pics.
Thank you for having me.
It has been a pleasure having you on the show.
Great. Thank you.
And we've enjoyed having you as part of our Culty Las Vegas time here. And we'll look forward to getting together with you next week when we open more entertainment files.